TpT came out in one of their recent town halls. Something like 32% of buyers, might have even been 60% of buyers, say they won't purchase if there's not a preview file. So the preview file actually is very valuable for us as sellers. It will increase our sales. So just so we're all on the same page, when you go to a product, there's the cover image and there's those three thumbnails, which sometimes I call preview images, and I apologize for doing that. I can't stop myself. But the thumbnail images are what you get when you just hover your mouse over those little pictures at the bottom. And then if you click on any of those pictures, or if you click on the button that says View Preview, there's a preview file that's a PDF that you can download. So I'm just going to have a conversation with you guys. I'm going to ask some questions. There are no wrong answers. I guess there could be a wrong answer if you're like way off the map. But my first question is, how long should a preview file be?
Spring Fling, you said the ideal preview file length is 3 to 5 pages.
Yes. Okay. That's my opinion. But yes, that is what I said. Good job. TPT came out and said 1 to 3 pages, which I disagree. I don't think 1 page is enough. I don't think 2 pages is enough. I think three is like the bare bones minimum. And I think five is about where you kind of want to stop. If you do too much more than five, it's gonna just be too much information and they're gonna stop looking at it. Okay. So 3 to 5. Next question. What are some things that should be in the preview file?
Benefits?
Benefits. Excellent answer. Add to that question by saying this. If you have 3 to 5 pages, 1 page can be a benefit of the product, even 2 pages. What else should be on a page? Because I'm of the opinion that each page should be one thing and only one thing. So what else could be a page?
Say how it would save the teacher time.
How does that's yes,
Mhm.
that's a specific benefit. So one of the benefits you could talk about is the time saving component. Obviously, there's other benefits we could talk about, and each product is going to have its own set of benefits. What other pages could there be? I'll give you an easy one. What's
Social
included?
social proof,
Yeah,
like reviews and
reviews.
testimonies. Yeah.
That's a great one to have. Reviews and testimonies. But we talked about how having an image in each image of the preview file, an image of your product, is a good thing to have. We talk in our group a lot about how your preview file and your images and your thumbnail images should show and tell. So I don't recommend just having the image. And usually just having words isn't great, although like Casey's doing her table of contents, some people do reviews on just a page, so that's a little bit different. But I usually have an image of the product or like Tori said, a blow up of a section of the product and then words highlighting the benefits. So I'm going to say something that many of you have heard me say this before, but there's a lot of new people today. So we want to say the obvious thing to our customers. We don't want to assume that they know it. And so what I always show, and I think I showed this in that training that Tori mentioned, is Dr. Pepper did this thing where they were selling a 15 pack of soda for the same price as a 12 pack. And then on the box, they put the words, that's three. It said 15 pack and it said, that's three more than 12. And they did that not because they don't think you know what 12 plus 3 is or 15 minus 12 is. ELA teacher. They did that because they're just stating the obvious thing to make sure you don't miss it. They're highlighting the benefits. So when you show images of your product, if you see my store, because I didn't learn this till I was deep into my TPT game, and I've already got a lot of products up there. I just have images of the product with the words preview written through it or bars written through it so they can't use it. Well, I'm not telling them the benefits. I'm putting all the weight on them to think and look and try and figure out why this is great, and I should just be telling them. So now I have arrows that point to sections and say, this is this section, this is why it's great, this is this section, this is why it's great. So show and tell. The other thing you want to do in your preview file that you can't do in your thumbnail images is overcome objections. So think through why someone would not buy your product. Usually it's because there's the perception that it's too complicated or too confusing. And so overcome those objections with your preview files. Show how simple it is. show how easy it is to implement in the classroom, highlight the benefits for the students and the teachers. Next question. This is a crazy one. If I posted this in our Facebook group a long time ago, it was a hot topic. What size should they be? So there's three options. There's a square, there's an 8.5 and 11 by 11, so like a landscape of a sheet of paper, and there's 16 by 9, which is presentation mode. Okay, the templates that I gave that you already had access to before today were the 11 by 8.5, and they're fine. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think all of them are fine. I personally am now doing the 16 by 9, and so the new templates I'm giving you are 16 by 9. My thought process is if they're on their phone and they rotate it when they open the preview file, which is how they're going to see, that's how it normally pops up, then it fills up the whole screen. It's perfect. I'm giving you a template today that's 16 by 9. All right, next question. What should each image file look like? So how do we make it great so that it pops? I think your preview image or your preview file images should be colorful. You want them to pop. So that's why I'm really liking this format. This is what I'm doing a lot, where I have a colored outline and then a box inside of it. But even if you don't do that, if you just do like, oh, not that. Yeah, like I would still somehow have a light contrasting color for the background as opposed to the words and the images and the graphics, and then still do a border or something that adds flavor that makes it look appealing. You want them to like look at it and say, "Oh wow, this is a professional piece of work." Okay, I think you should have a big, bold title that contrasts with the background. Do you guys do a title on every page of your preview file? I can't see everybody anymore. I see Tori saying yes. I see Cheryl saying yes. Okay, most of you guys are saying yes. I do too. I think that's usually the best way to go is for even if you're doing like a what's included page, there's a title. Even when you're talking about like the benefit, you could just highlight the benefit as the title. It doesn't always come out so naturally, but I think that's a good strategy is having a title on each file image. If this is one image of my preview file, so I have 5 images to make the preview file, half of this image, about half, should be an image. So like in this case, it's these 2 worksheets.
An
Or
image of your
half the
product.
slide.
Yeah, half the slide. That's a great way to say it. Thank you.
Okay, so half the slide should be your
Image based.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay. Usually a good strategy is to show, and we've already said this, but to show off the product. So the buyer wants to know what they're getting. So you do want to show them in the preview file, but it's okay if it is like pictures of students doing it. I think Casey was telling me she does this where it's like pictures of, now you got to blur out their faces, but if pictures of the product in action is a great strategy, or pictures of clip art that add to it is a really good strategy. I've shown you guys before my alien invasion worksheet, and I show a little bit of the worksheet, but I have images of the tanks and images of aliens and getting shot just to kind of like show what it's all about. So I don't think you can only do that because, like I said, they want to know what they're getting, but it's still fun when you can add those in there. Okay, so show off the product inside each slide and make it about half the image. I said the image can be the whole resource, so like this would be the whole page, or it can be part where we've looked at them in the past where you just take one screenshot and you blow it up like that so that it's just a section of the worksheet to give them the idea. One thing we should stress, I know you guys know this, but I'm just going to say it. Remember, this is able to be downloaded. So you don't want your whole worksheet there where they can just copy and paste it and then have your worksheet. So you've got to protect yourself. So like when they overlap like this, that's good. The second worksheet won't be able to be copy and pasted, but the first one will. So you've got to find a way to, um, I know people flat pack it, but I would still cover it. That's why I like to use arrows and stuff or put word boxes in front of it so that it's not able to be copy and pasted. Lynette, what else can we do to protect the image from getting copied and pasted?
I would say, I would say the biggest thing would be to make it like blow it up so it's just part of it,
Mm-hmm.
because you can even put it into Canva and it will give you the different layers.
Yeah.
Even if you flat pack it, if you put a PDF into Canva, you can see the different layers. And so,
Just for a visual, if this was, and this is the template I'm going to be sharing with you guys, and these images here, you can just upload your resource. Oops, sorry. And then you just drag it over it, and it's going to put it right in there. And you might have to fix the dimensions a little bit. But anyways, what Lynette is saying is instead of showing the whole resource like this, blow it up and just show half the resource. That makes sense. And if it was me, well, I might leave it like that. That doesn't look too terrible. Or I might crop this down so that not everything's shown.
or you could put another one on top of it. Well, I don't know, put another one
Yes.
like layer.
Yep. That's a great one too. Put another one over it. Lynette, if we crop it like that and then they take it into Canva, they're only going to get that one section, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're only gonna get the sections they see.
Yeah. As long as we don't share the link.
Yeah.
The link to the Canva. Okay. Um, Words that explain what we're looking at and why it matters. Okay, we've talked about that. Show and tell. Supporting images, supporting embellishments. These are the embellishments, like these dots up here, the stars, this thing up here, the check marks. Those are embellishments, and they just kind of add a nice touch to make it look a little more professional. Don't make it too busy. Don't try and say too much on one slide. At the training Tori was talking about, I watched that training to prepare for tonight. See what I had to say back then. I said, make each slide one thing. So if I'm talking about one key feature on here, don't try and also explain what's included and how to implement it. Just make this one slide about that benefit and then make the next slide about how to use it in the classroom or how what's included. So make each slide one thing. That way you don't let it be too busy. You'll notice on these files, I do a lot of bullets on the side. That's a good copywriting strategy. Remember, readers like to skim to not burn so much energy when they're reading. This is what I was talking about earlier, where my mouse goes. So I have the worksheet. You see, I'm covering it with different things, but then I have arrows pointing to different sections of the worksheet where I'll highlight those things and I'll say what's great about them. Two main ideas for your preview file. So these are two things you want to remember when you're making your preview file images and your thumbnail images. And that's that the best thing you can do is to make it clear and simple. So don't complicate things. Don't try and say too much. Be very simplistic in your explanations and very clear so that the teacher knows exactly what it is that they're getting. So we in our marketing series that we went through Donald Miller's book, and he says that your stuff should pass the caveman test, which means when the person looking at it, in this case, your preview file, when they look at it, imagine they're a caveman and they only know like 10 words. Within the first few seconds, they should know what this product is, what's included, and how it works, and what the benefits are. If they don't get that right away out of your preview file, it hasn't done the job and it's not going to sell. Remember that people are buying your products to save time. Okay. They want quality products. Unless it's like an activity where they want like, oh, this will be really fun to do. Um, they're usually buying stuff to save time. So make sure that you're explaining that in the benefits. They don't want something that they've got to put together. That's why I said it's clear and it's simple. If they're looking at it like, I don't understand how this is, I don't understand what I have to do to put this together to make it work in the classroom, they're not going to purchase. One other thing. Okay, let me go back to this here. So I'm giving you this template and let's just go through this. This might help explain it. I think it's got like 17 or 18 pages. And I try to do different backgrounds, different formattings, styles, so that it doesn't, you've got a lot of different options and things to think about. And then you see the first few are about the title page, and then the next few are what's included, and then the next few are key features or benefits. And then there's one that says how to use. I probably should have done more that say how to use. But if just pick the one of these that you like. So let's say you like this blue one with the stars and everything. Take that, make 5 copies of it, and then turn that into your cover page, your what's included page, your how to use page, your featured page. Don't take this what's included and then this key feature and then this how to use, because these are all different. They're different fonts, they're different backgrounds, they're different colors, and that's going to be confusing to the person who's looking at it. So pick one of these 17 images, make 3 to 5 copies, and then edit it accordingly, if that makes sense. Okay. And then use the rest to get ideas. Just because you use this blue one doesn't mean you can't have this kind of layout inside the blue. So this is here both to give you lots of options, but also to help you think through different formatting techniques that you can use. The other best practices, I think Lynette said one already. If you have reviews already, that's a great strategy. Another really good strategy is to paint a picture of it being used in the classroom. So you hope that the teacher looking at it can envision this happening in their classroom. They automatically see the benefits. It's very clear to them from reading your words and seeing your picture, so that they can see it in their classroom. They can see the students having success. They can see themselves having success from whatever pain point they're having. And then the last thing I'm going to say is a really good strategy. And now I'm going to share that image again. If you can, have your last page be a link back to your store or even back to your product or to other relevant products. And the reason in my mind is I know that as the teacher, when I'm on TpT, a lot of times I'll be looking at stuff and I'll think about it, or I'll put it in my wish list, or I'll download the preview, and I won't purchase it right away for whatever reason. The kids come into my class, my planning period's up, and now I gotta do my next thing, and I'll forget about it. But then if that preview file's hanging out in my computer, I might see it at a later time. And if the link is there, I'm much more likely to purchase it. So I think having a link in your preview file can come in handy. I don't think there's any harm to having it there, and I do think there might be a benefit.